The scene that stopped every think the sun was going down behind the old studio lot in Los Angeles, casting long shadows across the dusty ground. Everyone on set was moving fast. It was the final day of shooting the big action sequence for their new movie. The energy was high. Lights were ready. Cameras in place. Crew members whispered into walkie-talkies. And at the center of it all stood Keanu Reeves and Ana de Armas. They had already filmed 20 scenes together. Every moment had been intense, but this one was different. It was a risky stunt. They'd rehearsed it many times, a fight scene on a rooftop followed by a jump. The plan was simple. Ana would run toward the edge, pretend to lose balance, then fall safely onto a crash mat, hidden just out of frame. It looked dangerous, but it was supposed to be safe. Keanu stood nearby, eyes fixed on her. He had done stunts like this for years, but he knew this was new for Ana. She had insisted on doing it herself without a stunt double. She wanted to prove she was strong enough, capable enough, not just another pretty face. And Keanu respected that deeply. "You sure you're okay?" he'd asked her, moments before the director shouted action. Ana had smiled. "I'm ready." Then the cameras rolled. She sprinted. Fast, sharp. Her movements perfect. She looked confident. But something happened. A sudden slip. A tiny misstep on the rooftop surface. The edge came closer than expected. She fell, but not onto the mat. She twisted midair. The thud was real. It wasn't acting. A silence fell over the entire set. For a second, nobody moved. Everyone thought it was just part of the scene. But then they heard it. Her voice, not in character, but real. Soft. Painful. "Ah, my leg." Keanu was the first to run. Not the director. Not the medics. Not the assistant. Keanu, he dropped to his knees beside her. "Ana, hey, I'm here." "Talk to me," he said, voice calm but filled with concern. She was holding her ankle. Her face was pale. She tried to smile through the pain, but tears were already forming. "I think I landed wrong." The director rushed over, shouting orders. "Cut, get the medic. Move. People, move." But Keanu didn't leave her side. Even as crew members surrounded them, he stayed kneeling beside her, holding her hand gently, shielding her from the cameras still pointed at them. "Stop filming," he said quietly. "Turn the cameras off." No one argued. The medic confirmed a sprain. Not broken, but serious. She needed rest. The stunt was over for her and maybe the day's shoot too. Production team was all ready. Talking in corners, whispering about schedule delays, reshoots, backup plans. Keanu stood up slowly and walked over to them. His voice was low, but everyone listened. "We're not filming the rest without her." The assistant director blinked. "Sorry, but Keanu, we can shoot your side." "No," Keanu interrupted. "She worked hard, trained hard, gave everything to this scene. If she can't be in it, I won't be either." There was a pause. Total silence. Ana, lying on the stretcher, turned her head. "Keanu, it's okay. They can finish without me." But he shook his head. "No, Ana. We started this together. We'll finish it together." Later that evening, Ana sat on a bench near the studio exit, foot wrapped, resting. The pain was dull now, but something else was sharper. Disappointment. She had worked so hard. She didn't want to slow anyone down. She didn't want to be the reason they had to stop. But then Keanu walked up with 2 coffee cups in hand. "You always like it with extra cinnamon, right?" said, smiling. She took the cup, smiled back, but her eyes were heavy. "You didn't have to stop everything for me," she said softly. He sat beside her. "Ana, let me tell you something. There was a time I used to think pushing through pain made me strong. But real strength, it's in knowing when to stop, when to care, when to show up for someone." She looked at him, surprised. "You think I'm strong?" "Stronger than most people I know," he said. She laughed a little, even with the pain. And for the first time that day, her shoulders relaxed. The crew watched from a distance. No cameras rolled now. But in that quiet moment, between 2 actors sitting on a bench, something more powerful than any film scene was unfolding. A story of respect, of humility, of resilience, and above all, of kindness. They tried to replace her. Keanu walked off set next morning, The studio was unusually quiet. Word had spread fast. Anna's injury, Keanu's refusal to continue, and the sudden halt in production had made everyone pause. Some crew members were nervous. Others were simply confused. No one had seen Keanu like that before. Calm, serious, but unshakably firm. Anna arrived on set in a wheelchair, her foot still wrapped, eyes hidden behind dark glasses. She didn't want anyone to see the frustration in her face. She hated being the center of attention for the wrong reason. People greeted her with soft smiles and gentle nods, but she could feel it, the distance. The doubt a few steps behind her. Keanu walked in with his usual quiet presence. He wasn't wearing his costume. He wasn't ready to shoot. Instead, he carried a backpack and a folded note in his hand. The director, the producer, and 2 studio executives were already in a huddle. As soon as Keanu entered, they looked up. One of them motioned him over. He walked past everyone and straight to the circle. Keanu, the producer, started. "We just had a meeting. We talked about the timeline and the budget. We're under pressure. We need to finish the final scenes by Friday." "I understand," Keanu said calmly. "Anna can't do the final stunts and we can't wait 2 weeks. We've decided to bring in a double for her. Same costume. Quick edits. The audience won't even notice." Keanu looked at them for a moment. The room went still. "You want to replace her?" he said. Not as a question, but a quiet truth. The director stepped in. "Not replace her completely, Keanu. Just this part, just for safety. Standard." He handed the note to the producer. "I already spoke to Anna," Keanu said, "and I'm sorry I won't do it." The director sighed. "Look, we get that you're trying to support her, but we're talking about a movie. Millions of dollars. A lot of people involved." Keanu took a deep breath. His voice didn't rise, but it didn't shake either. "Then make the movie without me." And with that, he turned and started walking away. Anna, who had been watching from a distance, froze. "Keanu, wait." She called. He stopped, turned to face her. Everyone looked between them. "You can't leave the film because of me," she said. He walked over and crouched beside her wheelchair, just like he had done the day before. "Anna, this isn't about leaving the film. This is about not leaving you." Her eyes filled with tears again, but for a different reason now. The next few hours were tense. Phone calls were made. Meetings were held behind closed doors. Agents were involved. The studio tried to pressure him. They offered more money, tighter edit plans, even a promise to highlight Anna more in post-production. But Keanu's answer was always the same. This story was built on partnership. If she's not respected in it, neither am I. Meanwhile, Anna sat alone in a quiet corner, wondering how things had changed so quickly. She wasn't used to being the reason a whole set froze. She wasn't used to people defending her without asking, especially not someone like Keanu, someone the world admired, yet still so grounded. He sat with her again during lunch break. Neither of them ate much. "You didn't have to do this," she whispered. "No one's ever done this for me." Keanu looked out toward the horizon. "I've seen people ignored, left behind, forgotten, not because they weren't good, but because someone decided they weren't important. I'm not letting that happen here." She turned to him, her voice almost shaking. "But what if they fire you? What if this ruins everything?" He smiled gently. "Some things are worth standing up for, even if it costs you." And for a while, they sat in silence, not as actor and actress, but as 2 human beings, sharing the weight of the moment. The studio eventually relented, not because they believed in Keanu's values, but because they knew they couldn't sell a movie without him, so they made a new plan. Anna would stay in the film. Her stunt scenes would be adjusted, rewritten to focus on expression and close-up emotion, rather than physical leaps. It would be a different scene, slower, quieter, but more powerful. And Keanu offered to take on more of the physical parts, without question, without complaint. When Anna heard the new plan, she nodded slowly. "Thank you," she said, but Keanu only smiled. "No, Anna, thank you. You reminded me what really matters." That night, they stayed late on set, not to shoot, just to sit under the lights. Anna looked up at the stars above them and said quietly, I used to think I had to prove myself by being perfect. Keanu replied, "Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply show up exactly as we are." The rewritten scene stunned everyone, but Anna couldn't stop shaking. Lights were dimmed on purpose. The air was still. The rooftop set had been rebuilt. But this time, there were no crash mats, no wires, no wild stunts. Only silence, tension, emotion. The rewritten scene was simple now. Just Keanu and Anna, standing close, facing each other in the middle of a storm. Wind machines blew softly. Rain trickled over the fake rooftop. The action wasn't in the movement. Anymore, it was in their eyes, their faces, their hearts. But as Anna sat in her chair, makeup ready, costume zipped up, she couldn't stop the tremble in her hands. She had gone over the lines a dozen times. She had practiced the new version in her head. It wasn't hard, not physically, but something deeper inside her, a fear maybe wouldn't let go. "You okay?" the makeup artist asked gently. Anna forced a nod. "Yeah, just a little cold." But it wasn't the cold, it was the weight. She didn't want to fail. Not now. Not after everything Keanu had done. He had paused the world for her. He had told the entire industry that she mattered. And now the scene, the one meant to replace the big stunt, was all hers. "You ready?" came a voice from behind. She turned. It was Keanu. He had already changed into costume. His hair was wet from the prep, but his eyes, they were calm, kind, patient. She nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be." He noticed the tremble in her fingers. He didn't say anything at first, just sat down beside her. For a moment, they didn't speak. Then he said, "You don't have to be perfect, Anna. Just be real." At him, "What if real isn't good enough?" He smiled softly. "Then it'll be beautiful anyway." When they stepped onto the rooftop set, everyone on crew stood still. No extra noise. No clicking cameras, no whispering, just silence. Even. The director had put down the megaphone. Rolling in 5. The assistant director called Anna took her place in the scene, her feet planted. Her eyes fixed on the horizon, Keanu stepped into his mark. Across from her in action, the scene began. They didn't speak. It's right away. The wind blew between them. Anna looked at him not just as her co-star, but as a man who had stopped everything. For her, the pain in her leg pulsed lightly, but the pain in her heart was louder. All those years she had doubted herself. All those days she felt replaceable. Keanu stepped closer, slowly, as if he could hear her thoughts. His line came. "I never wanted to save the world. I just wanted to save you." Her eyes welled up. Not because of the line, but because he meant it. She forgot the camera. She forgot the crew. She forgot the pain. And in that moment, she became something stronger than any action star she became. Honest. Her reply came from deep inside. "You're not supposed to care about me," she whispered. "But you do." Keanu's voice cracked, just a little. "Too late to stop now." And then, silence again. A tear rolled down her cheek. The wind machine roared quietly. Rain kissed their skin. The rooftop faded into something more than a set cut, but no one spoke. Not the director, not the crew, just quiet. Then a single clap, then another. And soon, the entire set was applauding. Anna stood frozen, her heart pounding, her body shaking. But it wasn't fear anymore. It was release. She had done it. Not with a fall or a fight, but with truth later. When they watched the scene back in the editing room, the room fell quiet again. Even the editor, a man known for his sarcasm, didn't make a sound. "I've never seen anything like that," he whispered. The director wiped his glasses and turned to Anna. "You just changed the entire film." She blinked. "Was too slow." He shook his head. "It's not slow. It's real. It's unforgettable." Anna stepped out of the editing room and found Keanu waiting outside, leaning against the wall. Sipping tea from a paper cup. "They said it worked," she said. "I know." He smiled. "How?" He shrugged. "Because you were brave enough to be seen." She stared at him for a moment. "You always believe in people like that?" He looked at the ceiling for a moment, thoughtful. "No. Only the ones who forget how much they're worth." Without another word, he handed her the tea and walked off down the hallway. Disappearing into the glow of the studio lights, that night Anna sat alone in her apartment. No noise, no calls. Just stillness. Her phone buzzed once. A message from Keanu. You reminded everyone that emotion is power. Never forget that. She stared at the message. Then she smiled, and finally, her hand stopped shaking. Anna received a call from the studio. Keanu was in trouble now. Days passed. The studio was buzzing again. It's time for different reasons. The rewritten scene between Anna and Keanu had gone viral, and it wasn't even released yet. Someone from the editing team had leaked a short clip, just 10 seconds long. Anna's tear rolling down. Keanu whispering that final line. Within hours, it was everywhere. People didn't just praise the acting, they felt it. Some called it the most honest performance they had seen in years. Others said it gave them goosebumps. Even critics who usually never praised emotional scenes were now writing articles about a quiet storm on a rooftop. But with the rising attention came rising tension. Anna was sitting at home, recovering and scrolling through the endless comments, when her phone rang. It was a number she didn't recognize. She answered slowly. "Hello," a woman's voice replied sharply. "Miss armas, this is Julia Linton, Executive Vice President at Paramount." Anna sat up straighter. "Hi, yes, ma'am. We've been reviewing recent footage and activity from your set, and while your performance was remarkable, we've had several complaints regarding Keanu's behavior during production." Anna blinked. "Complaints?" "Yes. Halting production. Delaying schedule. Walking off set. It caused financial damage, and the board is concerned." Anna felt something rise in her chest. Disbelief, then anger. He did that for me, because I got injured. He wasn't being difficult. He was being human. There was a pause. Then Julia spoke again, cold and direct. "We admire your loyalty, Anna. But be careful.
Yes.
Sometimes speaking up for the wrong person can end a career before it begins." And the call ended. Anna stared at her phone, heart pounding, hands clenched. That afternoon she rushed to the studio. Her foot still hurt, but she didn't care. She needed answers. And more than that, she needed to see Keanu. When she arrived, the security guard waved her through without question. The entire lot seemed to be holding its breath. She found Keanu in the back room of the studio warehouse, sitting alone on a crate, reading an old script. "You heard," he said without looking up. Anna stepped forward. "They called me." Looked up now, eyes calm, but tired. "They want to review my contract. Might even fine me. Maybe worse." Anna sat beside him. "Are you going to let them?" He smiled faintly. "I've been in this business long enough to know how it works. When you stand still and follow, they reward you. When you take a step off the line, they get nervous." "But you didn't do anything wrong," she said, her voice rising. "I protected someone," he said, "that's all." Anna looked down at her hands. "I don't understand why that's being punished." Keanu gently set down his script. "Because it reminds them of something they forgot, that people matter more than profit." The next day, an emergency meeting was held. Anna wasn't invited, but she showed up anyway. As the executives filed into the conference room, she stood in the hallway, leaning on a cane now, her foot still healing, her heart burning. Keanu was already inside. She waited outside the door, until finally, the door opened. A junior assistant stepped out, surprised to see her. "Miss Anna, we're in the middle of something, I know," she said firmly. "I'm coming in." She didn't wait for permission. She walked in. The room went silent. Keanu turned, startled, but didn't stop her. She looked directly at the executives. "You called him difficult," she began, "but he was the only one who didn't treat me like a problem." They exchanged glances. Some frowned. "He stopped filming because I was hurt. Said no when you wanted to replace me, like I was just background. Is that really a problem? Or is it a mirror you didn't want to look into?" No one spoke. She walked slowly toward Keanu and stood beside him. "If you let him go," she continued, "then I go too." Now the silence turned to whispers. "You'd?" Walk away from a major film deal? One of them asked. She nodded, without question. They looked at each other again, and Keanu finally stood. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. His silence was louder than all their meetings combined. By the end of the day, news had already leaked online. Keanu Reeves faces studio pressure after protecting Ana de Armas. Ana threatens to walk away in powerful stand. People around the world started sharing their own stories, moments when they were told to stay quiet, to follow rules, to accept less than they deserved. Keanu and Ana had become something more than actors now. They had become symbols not for fame, but for courage, for kindness, for choosing what's right, even when it's risky. And the studio backed off not because they wanted to, but because the world was watching now. Keanu was asked to apologize. Ana stepped in first a week later. Keanu Reeves was asked to attend a private studio gathering. It wasn't on the official schedule. It wasn't open to the press. It was a closed-door meeting, disguised as a cast celebration. But everyone on the inside knew what it really was, a quiet way to deal with the storm. The studio heads were worried. The leaked clip of the rooftop scene had reached over 10 million views across platforms. Thousands of comments praised Keanu for standing up, for walking away, for choosing kindness over control. But not everyone liked the attention, especially not the executives who had tried to replace Ana without blinking. So now they had a plan. They wanted Keanu to smooth things. Over to say the right words, to step back in line, Keanu arrived at the meeting in his usual simple clothes. No suit. Tie, just calm, just real. His hands were in his pockets. His expression unreadable as he walked in. He saw the room was filled, executives, producers, legal advisors. Even a few reporters from friendly media outlets were invited. Cameras weren't rolling yet, but they would be. A man from the board stood up first. Keanu, thank you for being here. Before we move forward, we'd appreciate it if you could clear the air. Explain that everything on set was a misunderstanding. Maybe offer a small statement of apology for the disruptions. Keanu blinked once, then twice. Apology, he asked. The man nodded. Just to help ease tensions. You don't have to mean it fully. Just say the words. Keanu looked around the room. He saw cold eyes, tight smiles, no warmth. And he understood what this was. They wanted to bury the truth. Under soft language, he was about to speak, but before he could, Ana walked in. No one had invited her. She wasn't on the guest list, but she walked in, head high, no hesitation. In her hand was a printed letter, folded, slightly worn before. He says anything, she said loudly. I have something to share. The room shifted uncomfortably. Ana stood at the front beside Keanu and unfolded the letter. This is a letter from a young girl in Argentina, she said. She sent it to me after watching that leaked rooftop scene. She began to read. Dear Ana, I saw your scene with Keanu. I don't know much about movies, but when you cried, I cried too. I've always felt invisible, like I could be replaced any time, like no one would fight for me. But when I saw him stop for you, and you standing beside him, I believed for the first time that maybe I mattered too. Ana paused, her voice cracked. She looked around the room, no longer nervous, now certain. You want him to apologize? For that? The room was quiet. You want him to apologize for making someone feel seen? For protecting someone who was injured? For saying no when the easy answer was yes? She turned to Keanu now. You don't owe them an apology. You gave them a lesson. Keanu looked at her, and for the first time that day he smiled. The media team whispered nervously in the back. One of the producers stood up, trying to regain control. Look, we appreciate what you both did for the film. This is business. Emotions can't always lead. Keanu finally spoke, but maybe they should. His voice was steady, clear, filled with calm power. What's the point of storytelling, he said, if we forget the people in the story? He looked around the room, making eye contact with each person. I won't apologize for standing up, won't regret pausing. A movie to protect a human being. If that's a problem, then maybe the problem isn't me." No one replied, because there was nothing left to say. The meeting ended without a statement, without a staged apology, without a photo op. But it ended with something better. Silence, the kind that means reflection, the kind that means change might finally be possible. Outside, Anna and Keanu walked side by side. Neither of them said much at first. Then Anna spoke. "I didn't know if I had the courage to do that." Keanu replied, "You did it anyway. That's what courage is." She nodded. "Thank you for not letting me be replaced." Keanu looked up at the sky and smiled. "Thank you for not letting me be silenced." And in that moment, the city noise faded, the pressure lifted, and two people who had once been just co-stars became something far more powerful. A reminder to the world that humanity should never be sacrificed for profit. The awards night arrived, and Keanu did something no one expected. Months passed, the movie finally released. Audiences around the world were captivated, not by the explosions, not by the stunts, not even by the fame behind the faces, but by one scene, the rooftop. No one could forget it. The way Anna's voice cracked, the way Keanu whispered, the silence between them. It wasn't just acting, it was truth. And people felt it. Critics called it the most human moment in modern cinema. Film festivals reached out. Interviews poured in. And then the call came. They were both nominated. Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Scene of the Year, Best Picture. The industry that once doubted them is now applauding them. The night of the International Film Awards arrived. With bright lights, red carpets, golden trophies, and long speeches, flashes filled the air. Names echoed through the grand hall. Designers and stars smiled on cue. Anna arrived in a dark blue gown, simple and elegant. She looked calm, but inside her heart was pounding. She hadn't forgotten the injury, or the fight, or the fear that she would be replaced. Keanu walked beside her in a black suit. Nothing flashy, just timeless. His hand rested gently on her back as they made their way inside. They didn't speak much. They didn't need to. They were exactly where they were meant to be, together. The night moved fast. Awards were given, names were called. Then came the big one. Best Scene of the Year. The presenter opened the envelope slowly, and the award goes to Keanu Reeves and Ana de Armas, Rooftop Confession. The room exploded with applause. Anna froze in her seat. Keanu leaned over, whispered, "You ready?" She took a deep breath. "I think so." They walked on stage together. The crowd stood, not just clapping, cheering. Anna looked at the audience, eyes wide, heart full. The host handed Keanu the microphone. He looked at Anna first, then at the audience, and then did something no one expected. He stepped back and handed the mic to Anna. The crowd quieted. Anna looked at him, stunned. He simply nodded, and in that moment her fear faded. She stepped forward. "Thank you," she said softly. "It's not just for this award, but for what it means." Her voice was steady now. "I was almost removed from this scene, replaced because I was injured. But one person refused to let that happen. One person stood still when the world told him to move on. That person was Keanu." The audience turned to him, clapping again. But Anna continued. "He didn't just protect a scene, he protected a person. Me. And in doing that, he reminded everyone that kindness is not weakness. That respect is more powerful than money. And that sometimes the greatest heroes don't wear capes. They just sit quietly beside you when you're in pain." The room was silent now. Some had tears in their eyes. Others just nodded. Deeply moved, Anna turned back to Keanu and handed him the mic. He looked at the crowd one last time. "This award belongs to anyone who's ever been told they don't matter," he said. "You do. You always did. And you always will." They walked off the stage hand in hand. No more fear, no more doubt. Just truth, just light. Later that night, away from the cameras, Anna and Keanu sat on the rooftop of the hotel. No fans. No questions. Just stars above and city lights below. "We made it," she whispered. "No, Keanu replied. You made it. I just refused to let the world miss it. Anna smiled, wiping a quiet tear from her eye. I'll never forget what you did. Keanu looked at her, then promised me something. What? Do it for someone else someday. When they're scared. When they're hurting. Remind them they matter too. She nodded slowly. I promise. And the wind moved softly around them, like it had on that rooftop scene, only this time. There were no cameras, only two souls, and one promise that would echo far beyond the screen.